Hi there, it's Coach Ruby, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Thanksgiving and share my story with you on how I got through Thanksgiving, what it was like when I was drinking, and then my first Thanksgiving alcohol free, because I know it's coming up. So, in 2018, my Thanksgiving, I was still drinking. And what it was like for me was I get nervous when I go to family functions. It's like, I don't know if you guys experience this, but when I walk into, um, a function, all this like energy kind of comes into me, and like I start thinking about family dynamics, and I kind of get overwhelmed. Um, but I usually host Thanksgiving. So I had been hosting Thanksgiving for like 10 years, probably. My family, my aunts and uncles and cousins, and sometimes friends too. And my aunt would always come over at about 10 a.m. in the morning, and she would bring several bottles of champagne, and she would say, "Let's start drinking right away." So I would. So if I would just be so, I mean, by the time the party started at say 2, I had already been drinking for many hours. Getting this is with the point where I get anxious and tired. I wasn't having a lot of fun, really high stress. I remember always I would like to host, but then I'd get so overwhelmed and stressed. And it was because I was starting to drink early. Um, and I was the type of person that would share too much once I started drinking a lot. And I would be the one that would be crying at the end of the night. I was a weepy drunk. I would start talking about subjects I didn't want to, and I would be ending up just crying because I would continue to drink throughout the entire Thanksgiving. I don't remember conversations. I remember being short-tempered, anxious. I wasn't able to be a great host after people started to arrive. I would try. Um, and so that was kind of my experience. I also regretted almost all of my Thanksgivings where my nieces and nephews, I just didn't want to hang out with them because I didn't have the patience to like kind of hang out with kids. I just wanted to drink. So, and then I started my alcohol-free journey in 2019. And at around Thanksgiving, I got alcohol-free, or my like last drink was May 13th. So I was about 6 months alcohol-free. And I had made a non-negotiable, a line in the sand, that first year of my alcohol-free journey, I was not going to allow any alcohol into my home. Now, I live alone, so I could have control over this. I got rid of all of my alcohol. I even was making homemade wine in my garage. I had been doing that for years. I got rid of that. I gave it to a friend. Um, and then this like dilemma came up. What am I going to do for Thanksgiving? I always host Thanksgiving. And this was a big like decision to make. I was really worried because um, I had this like non-negotiable that I said no alcohol in my home. So I did ask my mom if she would host, and it was a huge relief. I said I would help her more with preparing and decorating and tables. I would do a lot of extra work, but I couldn't have it at my home. So that was my first kind of like big decision around this. And so I made a firm decision to be alcohol free, not allow it in my home. I stuck to my boundaries. I came up with an alternate solution, which to have it at my mom's house. And then I had to decide, I hadn't really told anybody that I was alcohol free. What I chose to say was, I'm on a keto diet, which is true, but it was an alcohol free journey, right? But it just felt better to say, I'm just, I'm not drinking because I'm on a keto diet. Well, when I said it like that, though, to be honest with you, then people kept trying all night to get me to drink. They would say there's not a lot of calories in it. It's okay. You can do this for a holiday. I think each and every family member was trying. So in hindsight, it would have been better if I could have been more honest and say I'm just not drinking alcohol for a lot of reasons. But it is what it is. So um, I so I came up with an idea of how I was going to tell people that I'm not drinking. I brought my own beverages, okay, my alcohol-free, non-alcoholic beverages. I love like LaCroix and sparkling water. So I just brought a few of those, but that's a really good tip, okay, to bring your own alcohol-free drinks. So you are not relying on anybody else to have what you need, right? I really thought about how I was going to walk in and how I was going to be. And I started to think about some of the things that might work, like I was worried about. So I always have a problem, again, I think I mentioned this, like going into an event. So I like to be first. I like to already be there when people start arriving. That helps me emotionally, is to get there early. And then I made the decision, I'm not drinking alcohol. I was already, about 6 months alcohol free at that time. But I did. I brought my own drinks. I made sure I had, a LaCroix in my hand at all times. I had come up with, like I said, I'm on a keto diet. I came up with a reason. You cannot usually go with health reason. That is like the easiest, I'm just not drinking tonight because of my health, or maybe it's I'm a designated driver. Nobody has to know the all of your secrets, or all of your reasons. You can come up with a simple reason. If someone asks you, hey, can I get you a drink? You can say, yes, I will have a sparkling water, or I will have a lemonade, I'll have a Diet Coke, whatever it is. If you've already come up with some ideas or brought your own, or just say, hey, I'm good. I got my drink. I've got it in my hand, juice, whatever. You can come up with also a fun mocktail idea if you want. Bring your own, non-alcoholic wine, non-alcoholic beer, if that's what you like. Be prepared. Then I decided that I would probably feel, a little anxious at certain times. So I came up with a plan to, if I had like an urge or a craving or a trigger, I would go into the restroom and ground myself and breathe through it, and maybe walk around the block, go outside. Those are my kind of solutions for that. Let's see. I also had decided to bring a lot of games, and actually, because of the prior Thanksgivings where I didn't hang out with the kids, that was my MO, to just hang out with adults. I decided I was going to hang out with all my nieces and nephews and all the kids. And I brought all these games. And so when the adults were kind of in the kitchen and dining room area drinking a lot, I went into the other living room area and played games with the kids. And that was so much fun. I was super present with the kids and having fun. I also think that after dinner, you can take all your family and friends for a walk, like go for a longer walk, get out of the house. And thoughts did come into my mind, actually, several different times. There was some uncomfortable times with my family. And I remember thinking, oh, this is when I would drink. I would normally drink right now. And I just kind of breathed through it. I would walk into the other room, like I said. I would maybe walk outside. I live in California, so we can walk around. It's usually pretty nice weather, so maybe that's not an option, depending on where you are in November. So yeah, so make a firm decision that you're not going to drink. Have a plan in place. With your alcohol-free beverages, what do you want to say to people? Start thinking of some scenarios that you might be worried about and come up with solutions in advance. And then I love this one too. Have a getaway plan, meaning drive yourself there if you can. So you're not waiting on someone else. You're not the last one at the party if everybody's drunk. When you drive your own car or get yourself there, you get to leave whenever you're ready. And it could be even earlier. I remember that first Thanksgiving at my mom's house. I even told her I might have to leave early. I let her know. And I'm famous for, I always say goodbye to the host or hostess, but I sometimes slip out and not say goodbye to everyone else, especially if people are drinking a lot. They're not going to remember if I left. And if they ask, my mom could say, oh, she had to leave. I don't know. Something to consider too. I just know it used to be this big deal to like try to leave a party that might take another half an hour to an hour to leave. And then just become curious in others. Really think of questions you want to ask. Maybe you haven't actually been present at a Thanksgiving in years and years and years because you're just drinking. Like, what do I just have such better conversations. I'm more present. I enjoy myself more being alcohol free. Like I said, I got to spend more time with the kiddos, playing games. And I just kind of like if all the drinking was happening in one room, and then if it moved, say, to the living room, I would try to spend more time in the kitchen, maybe helping with the dishes, right? And then if more people were drinking in the dining room area, I kind of moved around away. That's just what I did. I don't know if that's helpful for you. So I'll just sum it all up with making a firm decision, have a plan, coming up with some scenarios that you might be triggered or worried about. Having a plan in your head already that you're going to go for a walk or go use the restroom and ground yourself. Make sure you have your alcohol-free beverages with you and in your hand at all times. If you already have a drink in your hand, no one's going to ask you, right? Um, if you can, this is one I didn't talk about, but if you can tell someone, I mean, I told people I'm on a keto diet, I'm not drinking. So, but if you can tell someone, maybe it's good to have someone on your side that you can talk to if you feel triggered. Maybe if you're going with a spouse, you could tell your spouse as an idea, and have a getaway plan. Love that one. And just become curious in others. So those are some tips, and you can do this. Um, I just want to say again that I love Thanksgiving now. It's really about being grateful, right? And I'm just feeling the gratitude right now. I'm so grateful to be alcohol free, so grateful to experience the holidays, being present with family, sharing, the good conversation, the laughter, the love. I still have laughter. You know what's cool? I'm not ending up the evening crying and being sad, regretting what I said the next morning. I would wake up and, oh my gosh, how much did I even drink? Couldn't even remember. And then what did I say? And then remembering that, oh gosh, at the end of the evening, I was the one sobbing, crying, talking about negative things. That's not how I want to show up in the world, right? So you can do this, and then post that it's your first alcohol-free Thanksgiving. And you can use the same sort of tips and tools for any holiday. But happy Thanksgiving. And I know you can do this. All right.